Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are at odds in many things, but they are all agreed in many others. And one of the ways in which they agree with one another is with respect to what is said in the book of Genesis, when it says that God created man in his image. In the image of God, he created him. Now, what does that mean? It means that the Creator created man as a creator, and man is to approach the earth, subdue the earth, and fill it by creating. And this creation is the common thread between God and man. Now, this thread can be betrayed in many ways. One of the ways in which it can be betrayed is by fundamentalism, when this divine spark of creativity in man is reduced to something immanent, like, for instance, reducing it to the law, reducing it to the doctrine, reducing it to the dogma, the moral precept. In fact, this transcendence, this divine spark, is beyond everything immanent and calls man not simply to be obedient to an idea, but rather to be creative of something constantly evolving, a reach towards transcendence, which is always beyond him and yet always present in a limited way in the now of each person. There's another way in which this transcendence, this divine spark, can be betrayed, and that is by denying it altogether, by saying, well, there is no such thing as transcendence. There's no such thing as anything beyond what science can detect, which science can master. And if that's the case, then change is simply arbitrary. It's decided by whoever has power to affect whatever they want. But there's a third response to this divine spark in man, and that was celebrated in Germany when Kant focused upon the Enlightenment and said that the Enlightenment has many wonderful things about it, but it betrays transcendence. And he pointed to the noumenon as the true reality. And he said that when we deny transcendence, we neglect, we betray, we try to annihilate the noumenon, and all that is most important to us can disappear. Now, Kant was followed by a number of great people like Novalis, the Schlegels, Friedrich Schelling, and then both Beethoven and Schubert. And in these followers, there was an insistence upon creation, the ability of man to create in the image of God. So, what is it that we are going to focus on now? It's going to be a work of Franz Schubert in this post-Kantian tradition. And this work was the piano sonata in A major, one of the posthumous piano sonatas of Schubert, composed just months before he died. And in this, we can take a look at the poetry that inspired this piano sonata, and then listen to the music and hear how this particular vision of reality and of transcendence was embraced by Schubert and then made the foundation stone of his art. In the first movement of this piano sonata, the inspiring poem was Über Wildemann by Ernst Schulze. And the strange thing about this particular poem and about this particular author, Ernst Schulze, is that he saw that death and suffering had something very important to do with transfiguration and triumph. His focus was on the triumph of love over sorrow and death. But in celebrating the triumph, he felt it was important to focus first upon the reality of the tragedy, the reality of death. His poem here is Über Wildemann. It was Deutsch 884, and he begins this way. The winds sweep through the fir trees, the streams rush through the valley, and I wander on through woods and snow, mile after mile, from mountain to mountain. Here is a man who has been in love, but whose love has departed. In some way, perhaps she's walked out, perhaps she died. The point is that this beloved in whom heaven comes to earth can depart. Life in the open valley rises to accept the rays of the sun, but I will rush by all this beauty in a frenzy. I am more comfortable in winter. In the green meadows and sunny fields, I can see only my own anguish. Life, even in the rocks, is everywhere erupting, while the one who is life to me closes her heart. And then the question, oh love, love, breath of May, that love which he had realized in this girl earlier, but it seems to be all gone now. You bring tender shoots from tree and bush, the birds sing in the green treetops, the spring bubbles in your gentle breezes. Oh love, you make me wander in sorrow through howling winds on rocky paths. O joy of spring, O transcendental love, will I never again experience you? Then in the second movement, Schubert continues on this line of the disappearance of the beloved, the disappearance of transcendental love in his life. And the inspiring poem is Pilgerweise, the way of a pilgrim. And it was written by Franz Schober, a friend of Schubert's, who had also written the Todesmusik, the poem that inspired the Unfinished Symphony. I am a wanderer upon this earth, going from house to house. With hope and sympathy and a handshake, you could refresh my spirit, ease its pain so long endured. In return, I'll do you no ordinary service. I will shower your pathway, however, with wreaths of flowers. I'll sing you a song, play my zither. Perhaps this seems silly to you, of no value at all. But I, in my wandering, see my fortune disappear, and this song is life to me. In my wandering stick in hand, see my life disappear as thread parts from thread in my mortal vesture. And so I live on handouts from moment to moment. Will you without anger give me your food? For you it will be pleasant, for me bliss. But now, in the third movement, everything changes. He is in a completely different world, a world, however, that has been made possible only by the suffering that he experienced in those first two movements. The poem inspiring this third movement is William Shakespeare's poem, Stention, Serenade. Hark, hark, the lark at heaven's gate sings, and Phoebus gins arise, his steeds to water on chalice springs that lies. And so his focus is on the sunrise that brings warmth and life to the world. Because he is now at heaven's gate. What does he mean by heaven's gate? Is he serious? Yes, indeed. Winking Mary buds begin to open their golden eyes. With everything that pretty is, my lady sweet, my beloved, arise, arise, arise. This beloved is being a transfiguration of all the beauty on earth, a transfiguration of all the loves on earth, not their replacement, not their annihilation, not forgetting them, but their transfiguration. They're becoming a new earth. He is recreating the earth through his own life. And that recreation is called here to arise, arise, arise. In the fourth movement, the inspiring poem is Im Frühling, by Ernst Schulze. And here Schubert takes this transfiguration and goes back to a moment in his own life when it happened, when there was a real change. He's sitting on the hillside and he's thinking back to a time when his beloved was in his life. Now she's gone, and he is left with the pain, but he is also left with something else. Quietly, I sit on the side of the hill. The sky is so blue. A gentle breeze plays in the valley where once, in the early spring, I was so happy. I walked by her side, so much in love, so close to her, and deep in the dark mountain spring, I could see heavenly beauty, bright and blue, and in those heavens, I saw her, the beloved, the entire creation recreated a recreation in which we each have our own parts to play, in which everything has its part to play, because it is being brought to new life. It says, springtime beauty graces blossoms and flowers, but not every blossom means the same. I like to pick flowers where she did. Everything is the same now, the flowers and fields, the sun shining just as brightly, and no less enchanting, the reflection of the heavens there in the spring. If only I were a little bird here in the meadow, I'd sit in the branches and sing a sweet song of her the whole summer long. And so Schubert, in these four movements, has addressed transcendence, has addressed the recreation of the earth. That is what we are commanded to do. And he has faced the fact that there is a problem. And the problem is that so often we are defeated. We are too weak to achieve what we would like to achieve. And so there's a place for crucifixion. There's a place for sorrow, as well as a place for the triumph of love. In fact, the sorrow is gateway to the triumph of love. And this is what we celebrate with Schubert in this piano trio in A flat, in A major.